Hi, in this tutorial I thought we'd look at how to make word books or word cards. The two images at the top here are both cutting files that I made in Canvas this week, and the two photographs at the bottom here are word books or word cards that I've made previously with other cutting machines, so the fonts are slightly different. If you want to use any other font that is not already built into your ScanNCut machine or in Canvas, you'd have to do this in Inkscape or another program and then convert that file into a cutting file for the ScanNCut. But I'm just going to show you how to do it within the Canvas software. You can do this, or you could do this directly on the machine, but to be honest with you, my eyesight for close-up is not that great, so I prefer to work in Canvas because I've got a bigger area where I can see what I'm doing. So I'll close down these two images, and as I said, these are two cutting files I've made in the last week directly in Canvas. So we'll make a start. So first of all, let's choose a word. So we'll click on the text, and within Canvas we've got 10 fonts that we can choose from. So we'll just wait for the software to open up and we'll choose a font. I'll choose this top one for now, and the word text comes onto the screen. So while it's selected with the blue dots around it, double click and that will bring up the flashing cursor. Then use the back arrow on your keyboard to get rid of the words and then type your word. I'm going to type the word home and I'm going to type it all in uppercase. Then I'm going to select it. Now, if you look at the blue dotted line around it and the size here it says it's 1.98 inches high. It isn't actually 1.98 inches high. The 1.98 inches is the blue bounding box that goes around it, and you can see there's a gap, a small gap above the letters there and a bigger gap there. But we can't do anything with this at the moment anyway because we've typed it all in one go and we need the letters to be separated. So while it's selected, I'm just going to bring it over here out of the way. I'm going to right click, and first of all I'm going to hit divide, wait for the software to work, and what that's going to do is separate each one of the 4 letters. So these are now individual. Okay, I'm going to drag an imaginary box around them and I'm going to right click and group, and the only reason I'm doing that is because I want to resize them, and you can't resize them in this software unless you group them. So I'm going to drag on this bottom corner here until I get this little arrow, not the 4-ended arrow, that just moves it, it's the singular arrow, and I'm going to drag it down and drag it out until it's about 5 by 8-ish. It's not vital at this moment in time. Now I'm going to go back over here and I'm going to go into the basic shapes and I'm going to choose a square, basic square. I'm going to drag that over my word. I'm going to make it slightly taller than my word, and then I'm going to drag it out so it's about the same size as the whole word at the moment, and then I'm going to drag that down here out of the way. Now while that's selected, I'm going to right click and click duplicate, and I'm going to drag the duplicate up. It doesn't have to line up at this stage, but this left hand edge, the nearest you can get to this first letter the better. And then what we're going to do here, when we've got this single arrow on the right here, we're going to drag this back until it comes to about the middle of the M, and then we're going to bring the box down and just roughly line it up on top of the previous one. While that's selected, we're going to right click again, hit duplicate, drag this one back up, drag this one in to about the middle of the O, bring this one back down here, and again while this one's selected, right click, duplicate, bring this one up, line it up again with this left hand edge, and this one we're going to make about the same size as the first letter. And while that box is still selected, we're going to bring it over here. Now we're going to, our word's all grouped still at the moment from when we resized it, so I'm going to select it, right click and choose ungroup, and they're all now individual letters. I'm going to bring the M over and I'm going to overlap it with this rectangle here just slightly. Again, it's not vital, you don't want a big overlap because you'll lose the definition of your letter. Now if we had a function within Canvas where we could size specifically, we could have made our original rectangle height the same as our words, but we haven't. So what we're going to do, while this H is overlapping the rectangle, we're going to drag an imaginary box around both so they're both selected. We're going to go to Edit, Align and Middle, and that's going to put the H directly in the middle of this rectangle. And the reason that we're going to do this on each letter is so that when we stack the name on top of each other, each page, they're all going to line up along the top and along the bottom. And it doesn't matter about the letters because we're centering the letters to each layer of our card. And you'll understand more when we get to the end of the tutorial. So while they're both selected, we're going to hit Weld. And wait for it to do its magic. And for some reason, it's being slow. I don't know why. I'm just going to drag this over here, and while it's selected, I'm just going to fill it with a colour. And I'm only doing this so that you can see it better on the screen. So I'm just going to choose that nice purple down there and fill it with a colour. So that's one. Going to come to this next box, bring this up here, grab our next letter, overlap it slightly here, drag a selection box around both, Edit, Align, Middle, and again that's line them up together, and Weld. I'm going to bring this over here, I'm going to fill it with a different colour, and again I'm only doing the colour so you can see it on screen, and while that's selected I'm going to right click and send to back, so that's gone behind. I'm going to come back over here, choose our next box, bring our M over, again little overlap here, drag an imaginary box around both, Edit, Align, Middle, and while they're both selected, Weld. Select it, go up here, going to fill it with a different colour, drag it over here so it roughly overlaps this edge, but it doesn't matter at this moment in time. Right click, send it to the back, bring in our last box and our letter, slight overlap, select both, Edit, Align, Middle, and while they're still selected, Weld. Select it, fill it with a colour, bring it over here, right click, send to back. Now I'm going to drag an imaginary box around everything and just bring them back into the middle of my screen so you can see them. And I don't know if you can see, but all these blue dotted lines are all around each of those layers and nothing lines up and it looks a bit of a mess. So while it's all selected, Edit, Align, Left, so that aligns all the left hand edges up. And while it's all still selected, Edit, Align, Bottom, and now you can see that they all line up. And because we centered each letter within each rectangle, each one of these layers here all lines up now, top and bottom. And that's your word card made. Now, if you want to resize it to cut it a specific size, you have to select it all, right click and group, and then when you've got the dotted lines with the blue circles round the edge, you can then drag it out, make it smaller, do whatever you want with it. You may want it to fit inside a 7x5 envelope, so you might want to take it up to about 5 inches and drop it down to about 7. You may want to make it smaller, you may want to make it bigger, and then obviously you'd save this in the normal way that you do, give it a name up here. I'll call it Home Word Book, add it into my projects, and then for anybody that's just coming across this as a new tutorial, if you've not looked at any of my others, wait for the software to tell me it's saved. Go over here, click on download. It's given it the name there that I've just given it with the FCM format. You right click on the actual words, download link file, choose your desktop so you know where it is, or if you've got a USB stick plugged into your machine, which I haven't at the moment, put it straight onto your USB stick, but wherever you put it, remember where you've put it so you know where to find it, and then just put that USB stick into your ScanNCut machine, go to save data and find that file and cut it. You can do like I've done here, you can cut each layer in different card, you could cut it in chipboard and then cut it again in paper and layer the paper, stick the paper up over the chipboard. There's all sorts of things you can do, and obviously you can do this with any word, you can do it with any font that's within this machine. At the beginning I showed you two that I'd used doing two completely different fonts. This is a nice font, this is the font that I did the word smile in, and it was exactly the same principle. I just typed my word, divided up my letters and made the box exactly the same. So I hope you find that helpful. Please like, share and subscribe, and leave me any comments or questions either in the comment boxes on YouTube or via my blog. Thank you.